Alrighty, guys. In a couple months, actually in less than a couple months, we will be under a year away from one of the biggest movies in a long, long time. Biggest probably in terms of box office, but also in terms of the pressure that it faces. That is, of course, Avengers Doomsday. Now, a year seems like a long time, but once you start ticking down the months from 12 and you start saying, okay, it's now 11 months away, 10 months away, then you start getting into teaser trailer territory. There have been a lot of rumors and reports about a teaser trailer coming in December. Maybe, it's possible. An example that I remember is The Force Awakens. They released a teaser trailer for that, very short, 30-45 seconds with Han and Chewie, a year before The Force Awakens came out. So for big event films, they might do that. But even for Infinity War and Endgame, and those were arguably the two biggest films that Marvel has ever done, they didn't release those first teasers until December, I think, maybe November of the year before. So that's only about 6 months prior to the movies coming out, less than 6 months. So who knows, right? Maybe they want to really get the buzz going for Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. But all that being said, aside from a rumored teaser trailer, which of course we'll cover if we can in December, if I'm not away from the mic, there are a couple other interesting things that just popped up about Avengers Doomsday that I want to talk about in terms of a conversation starter. So first of all, Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, love Shang-Chi, by the way. Have I said that before on the Access Blockbusters YouTube channel? I love Shang-Chi. Anyways, he had some comments just about Avengers Doomsday, and I don't think his comments alone were enough to make a segment about, but I think that it's fun to attach them to the main brunt of this segment here. So just wanted to read a couple quotes out here. He was giving an interview, and he had this to say. He says, quote, "I mean, there are just so many actors in it, and getting to work with those people as peers is really incredible because I grew up watching so many of them." He also, this is just me talking, he also earlier this month, I think, was at a panel, and he referred to the fact that he might and probably does have scenes with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. And I mean, can you imagine that? If me, like I grew up watching someone like Hugh Jackman, for example, and then in 20 years, I got to stand alongside Hugh Jackman on a movie set, that would be incredible. So I think that's amazing for someone like Simu Liu. And then he says, quote, "It feels in a lot of ways like a love letter to the entire genre of superhero movies. And I think there's something really fun about that." He says that the film is, quote, "for all the misfits and the weirdos and the underdogs that grew up reading comic books and feeling like there was hope for them." And then he says, "a hope for them somehow, that it didn't matter if they didn't fit in. I think that's always a special place. There's always a special place in my heart for that entire genre." Now, if you kind of read between the lines here, that feels very X-Men adjacent, doesn't it? I mean, that is sort of what the X-Men characters are about, right? So it, makes sense. The X-Men are there. Now, I don't think the X-Men are going to have this entire arc about not fitting into society when the entire multiverse is about to collapse. I'm sure that there's going to be some other more pressing things to cover. And the mutants will get their day in the sun in a few years when the rebooted X-Men film comes out. But if you really look at the teams that are assembled here, I mean, the Avengers team, this is not the A-list team. This is not the team that came storming out of the gates to storm the Hydra base in Avengers Age of Ultron with Thor and Hulk in full strength and Captain America. This is, I mean, let's face it, Sam Wilson, no super soldier serum. Falcon, Danny Ramirez playing Joaquin Torres, no super soldier serum. And then you got maybe Thor hanging around there. Sure, he has Black Panther, but she's relatively new to the, well, maybe it's been a few years since she's Black Panther, but still, she wasn't raised, I guess, to be the Black Panther like T'Challa was. And then you've got other characters. Fantastic Four, I think, are probably the heavy hitters, but, they're coming from another universe. The Thunderbolts are underdogs. The X-Men are probably underdogs. So I think it's really cool to hear about all of those different things that are going on there. But that's not really what this segment is about. What this segment is about is a teaser that somebody from the Russo brothers production company, AGBO, is it AGBO, Agbo? I don't know, posted, where I don't think, I think you see some costumes and things like that. I think you can see Sue Storm's and Franklin Richards' costumes in the background, which is all well and good. But then two members of the team appear on screen. One is holding a Doctor Doom mask, and the other is holding an Iron Man mask. Now again, I mean, as much as I like to say we don't want to look too far into things, that's kind of what we're doing here. So I admit that, right? I admit up front that, yeah, we're going to look a little closer into something than probably we should. That being said, I do think that, and I feel that there's no way that this is a coincidence if you are holding up an Iron Man mask and a Doctor Doom mask. Now, the Russo brothers have said before, we've talked about this ad nauseum, the Russo brothers have said there is a reason in the story that Robert Downey Jr. is, who played Iron Man, obviously, is Doctor Doom. I don't know what that reason is Nobody really knows what that reason is. Multiversal variant. Is Victor Von Doom a variant of Tony Stark in that universe, in the 8-3 whatever? It's not 838, but it's 826 or something like that. Fantastic Four universe. I don't know, right? Nobody knows. But the Russos are saying there is a story reason for this to happen. And everyone has to assume then that it is connected to Iron Man in some form or fashion. It feels honestly cheap if the entire Avengers Doomsday movie happens and there's literally zero connection between Iron Man and Doctor Doom. So this only intensifies that. Now my question is, right, because Robert Downey Jr. said, and we may be looking way too far into this as well, because when he said this, maybe it's just referring to the fact that he's taking a new role in the MCU and not anything else, but he did say when the role was announced, and I'm sure this was vetted by PR and all that kind of stuff, new mask, same task. Now, again, it could very well be Robert Downey Jr. saying, I'm an actor and I'm taking on a new mask. That's great. That's totally fine. And there's still maybe a very valid reason that he's playing Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. But if there's something to be believed about the fact that there are new masks, but it is the same guy, right? Or the same face, rather. And maybe, we've heard reports that Doctor Doom might be disfigured, as he sometimes and usually is in the comic book. So we'll see, right? If it's sort of a recognizable face of Tony Stark still, but it's disfigured. I don't know. But again, I think that all this does is it ratchets up the intensity to know why Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom. I don't know, frankly. We're still 13 months away from this movie happening, from this movie coming out, at least, right? I don't know if they're ever going to reveal that in the marketing. Maybe that is the biggest draw of the movie, is just to kind of dangle it in front of the audiences and say, hey, you don't know why he's coming back as Doctor Doom. Come and see. I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if that's going to be a turnoff where people are like, I don't get that. And I don't know if the idea is truly genius enough that if they revealed it in the trailers that people would be like, oh, I have to see how they did that. Right? I don't know. Nobody knows until they actually reveal it. I have a feeling that we're going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on just based on the trailers, even if the Russos don't officially say it in the trailers or out loud in PR and marketing. But still, it's all very intriguing. So guys, what do you think about, first of all, Simulu's comments about Avengers Doomsday, and then also his teaser with the two masks, the Iron Man mask and the Doctor Doom mask? Coincidence? I think not, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below.